Hang in there.
That Smylie Kaufman for 61. Wow.
I'm Smylie Kaufman, and this is The Smylie Show.
Welcome back to our third installment of our Major Championship Daily Journals here from Pinehurst No. 2 for the U.S. Open. Third time in a row here at the Pinehurst Resort Pool Deck, and I hate to let us down a little bit here because, look, I brought my swimsuit. I have swimsuit in hand here. I was fully planning to jump in at the end of the show, and I was one of those situations where I was kind of deciding between, do I ask permission or forgiveness? And I decided to go ahead and ask permission, and in the most kind way possible, the USGA said, hey, maybe don't hop in the pool at this host venue where we have not cleared some of that nature. And I said, you know what? As much as I'd love to for the content, I'd also like to cover
I'm calling
USGA
BS. I don't think you said anything.
What's that?
I'm calling BS. I don't think you asked anybody. I just think you're soft and don't want to do it.
I can provide receipts
all right.
after the show. I'm not going to put anybody out there. It was very kind. It was a very kind request, but it was nonetheless a request to not jump in the pool. So you at home, go jump in a nice cold pool for me. I wish I could. I brought the suit. I'm sorry. I would have loved to do it, but instead we're just going to be here recapping Saturday at Pinehurst. That was yet another eventful day, and so many places where we could start. Bryson, man, I'm not going to take my one and done victory lap quite yet. There is a lot of golf to be played out here, and here more than anywhere else, you could blink twice and be writing a 7 on the scorecard. This is what I will say about Bryson. It's the same thing I said at our PGA Championship, our full recap of the tournament. I love watching him play golf so much. And it's amazing to see the fan support that he's getting and the way that we've just done a full 180 on Bryson as a persona these days. And I think it's amazing. I think it says a lot about him. It says a lot about people's capacity to put the past in the past and give him a fresh chance. And he's without a doubt entertaining every time he tees it up.
Yeah, totally. And where he stands on the leaderboard right now, it just feels like it's his U.S. Open. It's his to lose at this point. Nobody's hitting it further than him. He's driving it so well. And the putter was there today. He's leaning to the fans. I think we've talked about that ad nauseum and how much he's interacting. He does all the social stuff. But to me, the interaction that we had on the 13th hole today, we don't get that from anybody on the PGA Tour as of right now. Bryson is the only person to say, hey, don't boo me. Like, I wanted to drive this green, and then he proceeds to lay it up in a bunker, hit an unbelievable shot, miss the putt, and make par. But I think when you kind of look at it from just a general entertainment perspective, that's what you tune in for, is just for either the heroic shot or the bomb drive, or, oh, wait, he's talking to us, or he's talking to fans. So I think he's just come across as very relatable, and the injury thing too was kind of funny as well. I mean, not funny in the fact that it was funny that they said no cameras, but we have like a drone shot from 200 yards up in the air to see what's going on. So
triangulate his location.
An eventful day. Bryson's obviously in a great position, but from a golf course standpoint, I thought the highlight of the day was the debatable pin at the 9th hole and the debatable pin at the 13th hole. And we all the caddies knew it, all the players knew it, everybody in TV that's been around this golf course knew that there was going to be some fates decided today at those holes. And 9 probably didn't get quite as much play as 13 did, but I mean, Tony Finau and Ludwig Oberg both were in this championship and all of a sudden weren't. With just a little short, dinky little hole. And that, I thought it was a little severe. Well, I thought it was a little bit too much, but also I was here for it all, if that makes sense.
I have a very amateurish police sketch I did here of the pin location on 13 and the green. Maybe I'll insert this at some point.
I got a sweet picture too. You can,
and it's this sort of, it almost looks like a rounded rhombus of sorts, moving from left to right. The depth of this green is 28 yards, and this pin was tucked all the way in that sort of front rightish
That's
corner.
That's the view from this right side. How sick is that?
I mean, it's just having played this course before. I was walking up the hill with my dad and my mom, and we were watching Neil Shipley over there. We actually took a penalty stroke on that hole for the ball moving. Not sure what happened there, but we were watching him hit his pitch shot, and I'm looking where he's hitting the ball. I'm like, did he just shank that ball? And I was like, no, wait a second. The pin is like living on the hanging edge of the right side of that green, 9 yards on from the front and 4 yards on from the right.
It's a great shot link week.
You
know what I mean? Because if you're watching at home, you're like, what happened here? Did he just absolutely hook a chip, or did he slice a pitch shot? No, it's just Pinehurst.
Just where the pin was. And your kind of point on Ludwig, where they kind of did they did almost the exact same thing with different clubs. They both leave their approach short. They hit their third shot long into that back bunker. Then they have an almost impossible sand shot coming back that rolls back off the front of the green for their fourth. And then, pitch their fifth back on, both miss their putt for double, and then tap in for a triple. It's just that Tony pulled the putter, which was a very strange decision, as noted by everyone on the broadcast, who then watched Rory knock it tight with a wedge. Whereas Ludwig hit just a really, I don't know if it was almost like a thin pitch shot or just where he put a little too much juice on it, but just knocks it right into the back bunker. But the outcome was the same for both of them with that triple. And a tough way. They're not necessarily out of it, because that same sort of thing could happen to Bryson or any number of leaders. But Ludwig now at 2 under after shooting a 73 today. He is tied for 5th. Tony at 1 under, shot 72 and is tied for 7th. Just that tough break for both guys that we were really hoping to be in the hunt going into Sunday.
Yeah, Bryson obviously, shot was it the round of the day? Colin Morikawa shot 4 under.
We got to talk Colin. Colin gained almost 5 strokes putting today after where he was yesterday.
I told you it's not necessarily the putting; it's just sometimes very difficult to read, and maybe he had some uphill putts today.
He just might have.
So I guess I want to talk a little bit just about setup and USGA on how they kind of make some epic holes and debatable holes, whether the players like them or not, whether you think the players think they screwed up the setup. Or if the fans, thought it was entertaining. I think that to me is something worth talking about. Just how many holes can we think of in U.S. Open history, or the last 10 years, where it's either they're pushing up a hole, making it drivable, or making a par 3 play 200 yards in difference from a hole at Oakmont that can be 280 yards and play close to 100 yards. And last year at LACC, that hole played like 87 yards to the front pin and then 150 to the back pin. So I think that the USGA, they obviously go to great venues, and Pinehurst being an epic venue. I've been thoroughly enjoying this U.S. Open. But I think it's really cool, though, that we get that whole location and that setup and something to look forward to in holes. And I think Pinehurst and a couple different holes today have really brought out the best in what I think to be really dramatic and high-stakes golf where you got to execute and pull off shots.
I could not agree more. I've seen a lot of, almost universally positive reception to Pinehurst this week, in socials, everywhere else. But it's just, I think it's interesting in that it's a course that doesn't necessarily have a postcard hole, let's call it, but is just such a perfect test for major championship golf. I mean, there's, of course, the third where Donald Ross's cottage was, where he designed the course, and that's, there's history there. But just in terms of the course itself, you may not just have this one standout memory of the course, but you leave it being like, man, that was such a exacting test of golf, and just the creativity. I saw a tweet, and I should give someone credit. I forget who said it exactly, but they said they've never left the TV and wanted to go try a bunch of different shots, in a short game area or in a backyard, because you just see guys trying so many different things with, so many different outcomes. And it's really one that just kind of gets your wheels spinning a lot. It just makes you think about playing the game of golf. And I love that about both this course and the way the USGA set it up this week.
Yeah, totally. And today I was walking with Thomas Dietrich and Patrick Cantlay, and if you didn't watch Thomas Dietrich at all on TV, well, you didn't, because he wasn't on TV, because he shot himself out of it quickly.
Is Thomas Dietrich entering our Colin Morikawa, Tony Finau territory of
No,
we need to
he's
stop
not.
talking about him because
No, you can talk about him. You can talk about
all right.
him. He's he just didn't rise up today. Wasn't just looked off from the get go. Just wasn't there at all. And everybody talks about how talented he is, but just hasn't been able to really break through at all. So until he gives us that breakthrough moment in a tournament, then you can start having that conversation of this guy can win a major. And right now, I think he's got talent too, but it seems like the mental side of the game is kind of holding him back a bit. But Patrick Cantlay, man, was one of the most grindy rounds I've ever seen. The stats don't tell the story of how good it really was. His ball striking, I would say, was a C, at times D, but his short game, man, unbelievable. His the first round, he was 7-8 scrambling. We talked about this in the Day One Journal. He was first around the greens, and today he had 12 opportunities to get the ball up and down. So when I say opportunities, I think the stats will say that it was more like 9, but because of a drivable par 4, par 5s, and then a plugged lie at 9. So he missed the green after a plug lie. So he's got 3 extra opportunities. He was 9 for 12.
Wow.
In up and downs today. And 2 of the up and downs were 2 of the most incredible ones I saw this entire week from Jail on 7 and then Jail on the 13th hole where guys were making triple. He gets it up and down.
Yeah.
So I'll just say this. Bryson DeChambeau's at 7 under par. Patrick Cantlay, 4 under par. Pavone, Rory McIlroy at 4 under par. If, let's say, a guy like Patrick Cantlay goes out and shoots 1-2 under par tomorrow, Bryson DeChambeau has a poor day, and Patrick Cantlay goes on and wins, it's kind of wild to me of the type of player that is going to end up winning this week could be from totally different categories. Bryson's, it's going to be because of his driving and how well he's driven the ball. Cantlay, his ability just to scramble his absolute you-know-what off. So that, to me, when we're coming into the week, trying to figure out what's the most important statistic, and you were like, well, you kind of have to do them all well, but you really need to do one well. That's what, to me, is why this tournament's been so good, is that guys are in and around the lead doing different things well.
I wholeheartedly agree, and I think that's yet another reason why I love the venue and the setup, because there's just a mix of different ways to kind of get it done. And I think that speaks to why people have enjoyed this so much. Cantlay, 3rd in strokes gained putting today, to your point. You just, and really, and I think some of his around the green stats were maybe hurt by, I think it was 9 where you were with me.
He was plugged and misses the green, but then he gets the next one up and down. So I counted the first one as a miss up and down chance. And then the next one I counted for a made up and down. So
honestly, that first bunker shot, for him to kind of place it where it was so it kind of skirted and didn't go in the other bunker, was like almost, I don't know if he was trying to do that on purpose.
No, he wasn't. He was trying to get it on the green.
But for, I think his round today, kind of to what you're talking about, to me felt like what we were talking about last night, which was, it was just the endurance test. Just find a way to not do what Ludwig and Tony did on 13 and make triple. Get in the house with a 70. You're only 3 shots off the lead. Anything can happen on Sunday. And that was a really good job by him.
And yes, it was. And being where he's at, he's going to be in that second to last group playing with Rory McIlroy. And from listening to the coverage and watching him play in the group in front, I had some opportunities to see him hit some shots. And to me, with Roars, today was a missed opportunity. Today was a big, big missed opportunity. I feel like he was playing much better than 1 under par golf. It's the type of golf that anybody plays at home, that you're having a career day, and every time you grab a momentum, you make a birdie or whatever it is, it seemed like the next hole he would kind of lose a little bit of that momentum. Wasn't able to ride a streak to where he was able to get it to 3-4 under par. So I think when it settles down again, and when we talk about major championships, how do you win them? You're going to have, you got to get yourself in contention, which Rory's done. You need a little bit of luck as well. I don't think he's had a situation yet where we can point to, this was the unlucky or the lucky break. But the opportunities that you have, you got to take advantage of them. And I think today he had too many missed opportunities, not birdieing the fifth hole. Other holes out there, I'm sure that I missed not being a part of the coverage and with Rory. So I just, you were able to watch him as well today. So maybe I'm misspeaking a little bit there, but
No.
it just seemed like he should be right there with Bryson instead of 3 back.
You're nailing it, because really, if you're looking at the flow of the day and you're watching the leaderboard ebb and flow, he makes birdie on 9, but he goes in the back 9, birdies 12 and birdies 14. And at that point, I believe it was
two good birdies today. Two really good birdies.
I think at that point it was Bryson was at 7 and Rory was at 5, and it was looking like those two guys were going to pull away and be your final pairing tomorrow. And then Rory bogeys, I think he got to 6. He got to 6 actually.
15 and 17.
Bogeys 15 and 17 to drop back to 4 from 6. I think it was actually 7 and 6 now that I think about it. And I just, kind of to your point, it's like he played better than the score he shot. 1 under at this setup is not bad by any stretch, but when you think about what a good player he is and where he could have been going into Sunday, you got to wonder if he let a few out there. You like the church bells? The
church bells, guys.
Church bells. I think they can pick this up on the mic.
This is great. We got the fountains behind us here at beautiful Pinehurst Pool, and then we got the church bells just chiming away. Man, what a scene here! This really has been an awesome U.S. Open. I think you have to be super excited about tomorrow, and it could be a snoozer, but I don't think it's going to be. I think Bryson's going to make it interesting.
Well, so let me ask you this too, just about our final 2 pairings of like, what do you think those pairings do for the players in them? Bryson with Matthew Pavon and Rory with Patrick Cantlay. I always the pairings I always think about and go back to, is I don't know why this is the one that always sticks in my head, but just the Rory Hovland final pairing of the 2022 Open and the Cam Smith Cam Young pairing, and just how Rory kind of got dragged down by Victor, and Cam Young and Cam Smith went out and got it. And I just wonder, what you think of that Bryson Pavon pairing, whether that sets up nicely for Bryson or Pavon, his first time in a high leverage spot in a major, if that could be a nervy spot for him. And then you have last time Rory and Cantlay were together in a high leverage spot, the Ryder Cup, waving hats on the green and a big bust up there. What do you think the vibes are going to be in that pairing?
That's a good point.
It could be electric tomorrow.
I don't think that'll get in the way of anything. I think they've kind of settled their differences, but it's all about going to try to win a U.S. Open tomorrow. Bryson, to me, it's his to lose tomorrow. I just don't think Cantlay's hitting it well enough. I don't think his iron game is going to be sharp enough tomorrow to get it done. Pavone, to me, just seems like that's going to be a couple over par type of round. I can't imagine Pavone goes out and wins tomorrow. I'd be shocked. I'd like to look at the potential comparisons, though, between Matthew Pavone and Martin Keimer. I want to kind of dig into that a little bit to see kind of where their world ranking was coming into the week. I don't know if there's anything relevant or any stats that could maybe provide a little bit of insight of, Pavone and Keimer both hit a cut. Maybe their world ranking was the same. Maybe their age was the same. I'm going to go check that out. So maybe there's a storyline there with Pavone, but I think Rory being in the group in front helps because anytime you can get the crowd on your side and create a little bit of buzz in front and just get Bryson thinking about it, it sets for really good drama because the roars back and forth is always so fun on TV. But I think it's going to be a Rory Bryson battle tomorrow. If it happens any other way, I'd be surprised. My prediction, I think Bryson runs away with it and wins by 5. But if he gets off to a bad start, or maybe that right leg and hip don't cooperate, that's another thing you got to take into account. From what I could tell, he was definitely limping a little bit on 16 when I saw him in person. But how do you think it's going to shake out?
I think that is to me feels just about right. I mean, I think that if you think about the types of guys that are prone to big numbers in that sort of that collection of 4, Rory's almost the most prone to big numbers, playing an aggressive game. Now, I don't know what sort of game plan he's going to roll out tomorrow, but I mean, Bryson equally so with the way he normally plays and plays aggressive, although we've seen the last 2 days, again today on 13T where he played a little more conservative. And so that'll be an interesting one to keep.
I said that on Thursday. I was like, man, he's driving it so good, but he wasn't aggressive at all. I thought he should have been more aggressive. And just was fine just hitting it towards the middle of the green, and look at him.
And I think what happens there is if any of those two guys blow up, it's listen, still don't take your foot off the gas, because I think Cantlay is just going to be kind of steady as you go, kind of what you were saying, a 1 or 2 under number tomorrow. You nailed it last night. 8 players under par at the conclusion of today. Would you care to make a prediction how many are under par when we conclude play tomorrow and crown a new champion?
Let's go with 6. 6 players will be under par.
Shave 2 more. I like that. Could be spicy tomorrow. We'll see if they water the greens or not.
They were watering it on 17 when I was driving past, but I was gonna take a video just to get you all turned up on that.
Any final thoughts? This is I'll wrap up and kind of set up, because this is our final show on Side of Pinehurst. But any final thoughts from you to take us to the end of the show here?
Yeah. Are you familiar with sand spurs? I believe is the definition of what they're called.
Spurs. Tell me more about.
They have to be from the cacti family.
Okay.
Me and the sand spurs got into a fight, which is some form of plant, I think.
Okay.
On the 16th hole, and I'm going to show you a picture.
Okay.
Because I spent the next 15 minutes pulling off 42 of these little cacti things.
Like the little burrs? The little circular?
Little burrs.
Yep. Very familiar with those.
About to get this tweet out, and I tell you, I was so scared of one of these things. I mean, they're razor sharp. I had 14 paper towels I was using to try to just inch these things off, and then about 4 or 5 times I stabbed myself, and then one went underneath my fingernail. If anybody knows that one, it was a nightmare. Try not to make sure that it ended up slipping in my shoe where it got in my ankle. It was a tough scene at 16. Luckily, we didn't show any of Cantlay or Thomas Dietrich on that hole. So I was sitting there just playing Jenga, trying not to injure myself anymore. But I'll get that tweet out to see if anybody else has been through a similar deal.
That's definitely a North Carolina special. I didn't know what the name of those were. Let's call them little prickly things, but that is definitely. We had some of those. This is really a random tangent, but we had some of those blow into our backyard and grow in certain areas, and you go out there barefoot. It's not a fun time. So
the plant is a sand spur.
Interesting.
Sand burr. What did I say?
Sand spur, which I actually kind of like that name better.
Well, that's a burr. What'd you call them? Like at the beginning, like burrs?
Burrs. Yeah, burrs.
Yeah, so it's sand burr.
Sand burr.
That's the plant.
Sand burr.
How about us?
A lot of vegetation talk this week.
Sand burr, and that's what it's called, little burrs. I thought it was a sand spur. No wonder nobody knew what I was talking about. I asked the guys on coverage in a break. I was like, "Hey, anybody know what a sand spur is?" Like, no.
It sounds like a minor league baseball team mascot, the Pinehurst Sand Spurs.
Yeah,
I like it. Well, just to wrap the week here, because tomorrow night we're going to wait into our full U.S. Open recap on Monday morning in the 10 a.m.-ish neighborhood on both YouTube and Twitter, as we did last week after the Memorial. Really enjoyed doing that. Would love to field any questions that you all have to kind of contribute to that show. So look for that on Monday. But just to wrap up the week here, got to give a shout out to the newest member of our team, Jackson Brown, who has just been grinding on the content. Jackson, you've been killing it this week, buddy. We really appreciate you. A few more quick shout-outs. Tron Carter of the No Laying Up podcast for helping my wife with the flight situation, American Airlines, on Friday that could have gone really badly. Came to my aid during major week. So, TC, thumbs up to you. And shout-out to whoever's doing the pre-roll ads for our Sports Grid podcast, because opened up last night with a Toyota ad. And I'm wondering if we're headed for a little Prius deal in the near future. So you guys need to get all those in the books. And also shout out to the USGA and Joey Geske for setting us up this week out here at the pool. What could have been? Maybe next year. Next year. That's all for us tonight. Our final journal from Pinehurst. It's been a heck of a fun week here. Heck of a fun course. So looking forward to tuning in tomorrow to crown a new champion, and join us on Monday morning for that full recap show. We'll talk to you then.
I listen to this podcast. It's really cool. And
all of our lovely fans and subscribers, but make sure you like and subscribe.
It's cool to see what you guys are doing. I know golf fans appreciate it, but we do too, so please keep it up.
For all the good people of YouTube, like and subscribe.
You guys have some good takes, so I'm happy to come on and shoot the